Hey guys, Saint here. I'm going to be doing the patch 5.9 patch note rundown. I waited a day to do this one because I wanted to see how good the new Ashe was and the new Cinderhulk was before I could actually make a educated comment on it, because I thought that those two items were too... I thought the item and the Ashe changes were too hard to tell, and I had to play around with it a little bit. But after playing Ashe, let's get into this. So after playing Ashe, how to describe her? Let's talk about things I like about her. Things I like about her is her sustained damage late game is absolutely insane. If she can sit there and hit targets, if you had the full frost shot wound up with the Q, like you do a lot of damage if you have your core items. And Ashe's arrow is still just as useful as ever. And plus, the fact that she always slows without having to use mana to do it gives you a lot more mana to use your volley. So a lot of quality of life changes for Ashe, and a lot of things that kind of, I guess, like before when you played Ashe, it was her weak laning phase, and just the fact that she couldn't scrap very hard. Like, she didn't do very much follow-up damage, so they kind of fixed that a little bit, but I feel like they still didn't fix the... well, you can't really fix it. Like, Ashe's big problem is she is incredibly immobile, and she has no way of, like, really getting something off of her once it's on her. Like, yeah, you can arrow, but if you get caught out, you fucking insta-die. Like, you die so fast. And I think Ashe still has this problem. She's actually really easy to gank if you're, a good jungler too. So, I think she might be okay, but I think she might need some numbers adjusted as well. I think she feels decently strong though. I think you might see some Ashe play, but I don't think I still don't think she stacks up against like top level picks like Kalista and Urgot, like those really strong AD carries right now. So, oh, and Jinx. If you're gonna pick at a mobile AD carry long range follow up, I think you're gonna pick Jinx instead of her. So I don't really see Ashe gonna. I don't think she's gonna get that much play in competitive. Maybe people come up with some like great lane that you can play with it and get it out of lane phase, and maybe that'll be the case, and you play it against certain comps. But I don't think she's gonna be like a top go-to pick. Oh, and also something I missed: the new attack move functionality. I've been playing around with this a lot as well. Before, like, if you're not a very accurate clicker and you get into a clustered team fight and you're trying to make sure that you click on the right target, you attack mode, more often than not, if you just, like, moved on the target and you misclicked, you would just start auto-attacking a minion in front of you, and you wouldn't really do shit with it. But now if you attack move and there's an enemy near where you clicked, it will start attacking that enemy. So it makes it really, 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 really easy to do target selection in team fighting now. And I think that helps out a lot of people that were not so good at targeting people playing ADC or maybe some of the melee carries in these really clustered team fights, or like trying to last hit certain things inside of minion waves. I think this helps out a lot with. So I like this change, and it's definitely a lot easier on me because I never really had like great click accuracy, I felt like. Let's see. Akali, she got her Crescent Slash lowered all the way down to 1 second cooldown if you max it out, which you, of course, will max this out later. So you won't really have this in the laning phase. And it also has a little bit more ability power ratio. And now Shadow Dance now dashes Akali through her target. So I think that this will give Akali more sticking power, since you dash through people and your E is on a lower cooldown. And maybe even like a Ryze build would be more common with her now. But I still think that Akali has like a really wonky laning phase, and she can get ganked super easily. I don't know. And I also don't feel like she fits well in the tank meta. Because, like, what does Akali do to tanks? She just gets shit on by tanks. So, I don't know. I don't really think this is going to be the shine of Akali. But maybe in some team comps and solo queue, she'll be able to work out well. If you have like good laning matchups. Because you can do like a cloth 5-star with Akali still, and like make it through laning phase in certain matchups. Annie, they lowered her attack range to 575. I think this is mainly a change to support Annie, just because support Annie has so many favorable matchups because she auto ranges the majority of AD carries and every single support there is. So this is going to be a pretty big hit to Annie's support, but I still think she's going to be great because she'll still do the same job she did before and still have the same threat in lane where she could just flash tippers you and just like one-shot you if the jungler shows up. Hecarim, they nerfed his Q, which is... basically, it costs more mana, but it does full damage to monsters now. So this is a buff to jungle Hecarim as far as like clear speed goes, but you run out of mana fairly quickly now since your Q costs 12 mana. So I think this is a pretty decent nerf to top lane Hecarim, but I still think that he's gonna be just fine. Just because like you get enough mana off Triforce or like Frozen Heart if you build those things, and he still is like amazing scaling, and you get Home Guard on him anyways, so you can just push the lane out, and you know, home guard back to your lane, and you'll be fine. You'll be good to go. So I don't think that this nerf actually hurts him too much. He's still pretty broken. Some of his laning matchups might be weaker though. Kalista no longer gains bonus distance when dashing backwards. I think this mainly hurts her against certain champions like Rek'Sai that'll just like run straight at you and you'll just jump backwards over and over again. It'll make him a little bit harder to kite, but I still think that she'll be fine against those champions. This is not really that big of a nerf. Morgana, they nerfed her W at early ranks, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure why they did that. I never really thought she was like a problem right now. Like, she's fallen out of popularity quite a bit, especially as support. So yeah, weird change to her. They bug fixed Nasus, doesn't really do anything. They made Nocturne's E do 30 more damage. He's still gonna be a pretty weak champion, I feel like. He just doesn't fit into the tank meta very well, and he actually doesn't even clear the jungle that well compared to some other junglers too. Nocturne just feels like a shitty Rek'Sai at the end of the day to me, with like less guaranteed CC and a long cooldown ult that doesn't really do anything until you get into the later levels. So not too big of a fan of Nocturne right now. Ragnarok now grants 70% bonus movement speed for 1 whole second when running towards or moving towards enemies. So this is like this does absolutely nothing. Like, Olaf's problem is he has like really wonky scaling just due to the nature of his kit and how it works. And you basically get outscaled by 80 carries in the late game and you just become shit. Sort of like how Shyvana does. And yeah, once ADCs reach a certain item threshold and you have like a decent support that's like shielding the ADC and doing things to help lower the Olaf's damage or the Shyvana's damage, then these champions they just get kited and they get killed before they can do anything, and it becomes really hard to teamfight with them. So I don't think Olaf's that good, and I don't think this change is going to help him at all. Renekton, Ruthless Predator now grants 50 bonus range. Self-stun on empowered cast is now lowered to 0.5. This is, I mean, it'll make your W easier to use, especially in team fights, but I don't really think, yeah, I'm not. Renekton is still the same thing. He basically feels like you can snowball a lane, especially if the jungler comes, but if you don't, like, if you get behind it all, you're just like the most useless piece of crap, and he falls off super hard in team fights too, so I'm not too sold on Renekton right now. Riven, they lowered her movement speed a little bit, so it's a little bit harder for her to catch up to people, but she'll still be fine just because if you get CDR, you mainly move around with your Q and your E anyways. And then Wind Slash is now 1600 movement speed missile, which just means that it's really easy to flash Riven ult if it's coming at you, and it's a lot easier to outplay it, so there's going to have a lot more outplay potential for Riven, I feel like. Ryze, they didn't really do too much with him. I feel like they should really lower his mana values if you really want to see Ryze in competitive play, but even with the mana values lowered, it still costs way too much. Like, basically, the problem with Ryze is when you lane with him, your only form of harass is the W and the E, because you can't Q them because your Q gets stopped by minions, so you can't really harass them through the minion wave. So all you're left to do is just farm and trade them back with your W and E, and you just run out of mana if you do that. So Ryze is actually not that good. Explosive charge changed to Tristana. Cast time is now reduced by attack speed. I don't think that this is really that big of a change to Tristana, and I still think she gets overshadowed by some of the more popular ADCs right now. Trundle's Pillar of Ice now slows for 30, and then up to 50%, so 5% more slow on it, and now the knockback distance is another 75. I think you can actually, think you can actually do some like decent plays with this big of a knockout or knockback, and maybe you can maybe you could pull him out as a top laner. I'm just not sure who you'd lane him against, or like even if you put him in the jungle, like I don't really think he'd be that good. He just his itemization's too wonky, and he doesn't really fit into the meta right now, so not too big a fan of the Trundle. Xin Zhao, his ult now applies a 0.75 second stun to knockback targets. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Xin still suffers from the same problems that he has no escape move, and if he gets caught, he is dead. So not too big a fan of Xin Zhao. And he also just gets kited after a certain point. Zed's R now has a 1 second cooldown before it can be reactivated to return to the Deathmark Shadow. This is an annoying change for Zed in teamfights, and it also makes it really hard for Zed to fight against certain champions like Riven that will basically stun you the moment you come in on her. Before, what you do is you would R into the Riven, take the R back instantly to dodge the W, and then W into the Riven and like drop all your damage, and hope you kill her in time. Like that was like the way to outplay champions like that. Now you're not gonna be able to do things like that anymore. So a little bit less outplay potential in Zed, and a lot harder team fighting. So I think this will actually hurt Zed quite a good deal, especially at high level play. But at low level play, it probably won't matter. Let's see. Cinderhulk now does 100% bonus damage to monsters, but Cinderhulk Immolate passive no longer increases the damage while in combat, and it also does 15 with 0.06 damage per champion level. So basically, Cinderhulk does less damage to champions in a long, drawn-out fight, but it still like clears the jungle at like a similar speed. I like looked at some people playing Cinderhulk jungles in solo queue, and then I tried it out myself a little bit, and honestly, it feels like it's not that big a deal. Like Cinderhulk's strong because it gives you 50 billion health, and you're super hard to kill. Like the Cinderhulk like damage is nice, and it helps you clear, and it helps you trade a little bit, but the real thing that makes Cinderhulk beast is the bonus health and the amazing efficiency on the stats that you get. So, yeah. So I think Cinderhulk's still fine. He'll still be fine. Skirmisher Shaver, they nerfed it to 4 seconds, so basically you can only get one proc of the true damage off if you auto somebody, so it's actually a pretty decent nerf. I actually don't think I'll be going this smite much on mini junglers. I'll mainly be going the blue smite and the purple smite, so probably won't get too much Skirmisher Saber anymore. Dragon, it attacks faster and has higher base damage. I don't know, from what I saw, Dragon didn't really seem to be a problem, and I could still do the Dragon at level 3 with Nuno, so that's the only champion I tried it on. Seems like it's still alright, like it's not that big a deal. And some Howling Abyss changes, and match history changes, so now you can see 20 viewable matches on, to the web. Okay, so you can look at them on the web. Alright, that's pretty much it for the patch notes. I don't really think too much has changed, to be honest. This is actually kind of a small patch. Well, not really a small patch, but like minor changes, and not really like too big of overhauls or anything like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.